Sir, what did you discuss on the South China Sea during the retreat? And also, how did you bring up the arbitration that we filed before the UN?
So I think there were many leaders who were stating their concern, especially given, I think, let me use a phrase used by one of them. I'm not sure exactly who said it, but something to the effect of, it might not be an exact recapitulation, something about brinkmanship, what was, did you hear it? Hazardous brinkmanship or dangerous brinkmanship, something to that effect. Talking about, and of course, the Prime Minister of Vietnam, Tanzung, enumerated their problems currently, something in the neighborhood of 80 ships, planes, etc. Ramming, 30 incidents so far of ramming. And everybody, there was, I believe, a consensus, first by the foreign ministers who issued the statement, which I assume you already have. But after that, everybody was talking about peaceful resolution, adherence to international law, and specifically UNCLOS. And then we also, I put in during the retreat our own incidents with regards to Ayungin, Scarborough, the Kalayaan Island Group, Mabini, construction of Mabini Reef, no? And the Galok oil contract, service contract area. Now, then we did mention that, consistent with everybody's desire to resolve it in a peaceful manner, we did inform them officially of the March filing of the memorial before the arbitration tribunal under ITLOS. Okay. So again, I don't think that I don't think there's any disagreement that there really is this current incident or series of incidents is a cause for worry and concern by all parties.
Sir, did you ask for support for arbitration?
I didn't ask specifically for it. I just informed them that we had actually filed it. We filed the memorial on March of this year, March 30.
Sir, good evening. Just to follow up on that, what significance or what impact do you think this, the foreign minister's statement would have, considering that it neither mentions specific incidents or specific countries? Or would you have preferred, would the Philippines have preferred a much stronger statement that might have a stronger impact?
Okay. The second paragraph talks about all parties concerned to exercise self-restraint and avoid actions which could undermine peace and stability in the area, to resolve disputes by peaceful means without resorting to threat or use of force. And I think that is very clear. The importance of maintaining peace, stability, maritime security, freedom of navigation in and overflight above the South China Sea, as well as the ASEAN's 6-point principles on the South China Sea, etc. And again, in Cambodia, if I remember correctly, strike that. I think it was in an ASEM meeting, wherein another country stated that there has never been any threat on freedom of navigation. So to have a consensus, because everybody, every single member in ASEAN had to agree to it, and that's not the easiest thing to do. So for them to state categorically in concerns about freedom of navigation and even in overflight, is again, I think a point very well taken. Then, of course, a reiteration of full and effective implementation of the DOC. Okay. So I assume, parang that means that there is no full implementation and effective implementation of the DOC, which leads to accelerating the process of getting the code of conduct. So I don't see anything lacking within this particular statement.
Hi, sir. Sir, just a follow-up on the China's deployment of an oil platform. Exactly what message are we getting from China with that move?
Yeah, I feel awkward in answering for China. Because obviously I'm not authorized to speak for China, and they will always choose the words. Perhaps we should address that question to them. exactly what are your intentions here. And in Vietnam has reiterated that they have tried so many channels in so many different levels to precisely get an answer to that question. And they actually stated also that they have not been able to get a response from all of the levels that they have tried. And this is after when they have an agreement on party-to-party relations, there has been, I think that has been the SOP, you know, that there are always channels by which they can communicate with each other, and they have designated as the official communications channel. So that in itself, the inability to be able to talk directly with their counterparts is another point that I think should be of concern. It seems to mark a change. Well, of course, this whole incident is a change. And then the other ancillary acts seems to indicate further changes, and one has to wonder exactly to what extent will the changes amount to. How far will they go?
Sir, are we seeing signs of a similar move in Philippine waters?
Well, I stated, for instance, after we supplied Sierra Madre in Ayungin, you know, there were, what was it, I think 3 ships beforehand. Afterwards, it became 5. Look at Scarborough Shoal. Yeah. From disputed to we have been getting reports that our fishermen were not allowed access inside the shoal, even during inclement weather. No, so I guess all of you will just have to read any of the various media to state areas that have concerns with regards to the People's Republic.
Would EDGAR help deter that, sir?
Sorry.
Would EDGAR help deter a similar move by China?
At the very least, no, it will be a factor that they will have to consider. But I guess even before we get to that point, from the time I assumed the office, we keep hearing everybody talking about adherence to international law. And in this particular case, no, UNCLOS seems to be the most appropriate law. Talks of exclusive economic zones. Now, seemingly that has changed. No? They are signatories to it. Suddenly they're putting in factors like historical factors to consider, so on and so forth. So, again, I'm hard-pressed to answer on their behalf and explain with any sense of authority that they are doing the following because of this particular mindset or this particular end goal. I think that would be too presumptuous on my part.
Hi, sir. Good evening. On another matter, going back to local issues, may we find out if there are other reasons for the resignation of Chairperson Wico? And were you happy with her until the very day that she made known her intention to resign?
Well, when I asked her at the beginning whether she's one of the few people I know who had experience with PCSO, so she seemed to be the right individual to place in that position at that time. She was hesitant to accept it. You know. She wanted, not as chair, she wanted, if at all, to be a member of the board. So for her to have rendered service all this time is, I think, sufficient to say, thank you. And as I keep telling her, a lot of the people who work with me, either in the office of the president or in the cabinet, are advocates. And in a sense, they're driven by their belief in the causes that they're espousing. Now, to be able to do that, it takes quite a terrible toll on so many things, from your income to being the magnet for all criticisms, to having no private life, to being invaded in each and every step you are. There's a point, I guess everybody will have a saturation point. And every time that they continue in serving our people, I thank them. But I do recognize that there are days and there are points that you wanna say, is there something else that I could do? I've given what I could.
Sir, how do you feel about the criticisms that were raised against her?
Well, I have to weigh that with the fact that she served not only myself, and my administration, but she has also been a constant with regards to my mother in particular, from probably from 1978, during the interim Batas and Pambansa elections, then all throughout, to the time my mother assumed, to even the portion of my mother's life when she was no longer president. She was still a constant.
Sir, are you appointing former Governor Ayong Maliksi?
Can we
to-
wait for the appointment? As soon as, and
Okay.
we will come to it as soon as possible.
Sir, are there other appointments that are coming, and who are these? And will there be a cabinet revamp?
And I'm always asked about the cabinet revamp, no? And I wonder why. pero in all honesty, nga, as I did mention, most of my cabinet has been with me from day one. And if you remember, one of the first to really express the stress levels was the cabinet secretary, or the current cabinet secretary. He keeps getting teased about the need to have some, to talk to Babe Sings on how to repair his forehead. but the point was, and if I can just help you recall, there was when he was Secretary of Energy, he was being criticized every time fuel prices got up, no? And it's not as if it was something under his control. That was, and he had to respond at 5 in the morning and 11:30 at night, you know? And that was doable. What really got to him in a sense was when his daughter, who was grade 5 at the time, was being bullied by somebody in grade 7, saying the same things. No? And di ba, syempre, bunso, apple of the eye and everything. And so long as he's in that job, no, the daughter would probably be getting some of the nasty stuff. So, will there be changes? Some of yung have indicated that parang they're saying that para mutually agreed upon time, they would want to go back to their private endeavors. But at this point in time, nobody is yet being replaced. Pero balik rin, hindi naman tayo makapal pag medyo alam na natin matagal na nabububugin tao at nagsabi, pwede mo bang time out na? Hindi ko naman pipilitin na huwag ka muna mag-time out. Hintayin na natin yung June 30 ba o June 29? Para sigurado. June 30 bago noon. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Tito John.
Sir, yeah, just on EDGAR, how confident are we that this will stand scrutiny by the Supreme Court?
Well, ang hirap sagutin nung point by point. No? For instance, nilabas ng DFA yung frequently asked questions in paid ads. No? I think the number of questions that seemingly are being asked, or they assumed were being asked, were at least 30. Will it stand scrutiny? Yung consistently when they were reporting to me, we kept on working on fine-tuning it to make sure that it adheres completely with the Constitution. So will it stand scrutiny? Yes. Will there be people who will try to derail it? Yes, also. But we are reasonably confident, no, that anybody looking at it objectively will be able to say that we have met all the stipulations in the Constitution.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, have you seen the policy list and have you spoken with Secretary Lacson or Secretary De Lima about this?
Well, pag sinabi niya Napoles list, parang may one list. Ni Napoles.
Opo.
I think I've seen, yung physically seen, I've seen 2. And they don't agree with each other exactly. And they're both supposed to they're supposed to have come from Ms. Napoles.
Mhm.
Now, Senator Lacson was telling me of another list given to him by relatives of Ms. Napoles. No? And again, there's a substantial detail there that doesn't again agree with the other 2. So when you ask me, did you see a list? I think the best answer is I've seen physically 2 lists, and I'm told that there's a 3rd list.
So yung 2 lists, sir, is yung kay Secretary De Lima po?
Yes. Yung first one, I think, was transmitted to me, which I in turn gave to Secretary De Lima. At that point in time, she didn't want to talk to Secretary De Lima. The second list naman with Secretary De Lima was when she asked to meet with Secretary De Lima, when she had the change of heart. Now,
And then-
yung list with Secretary Lacson, we were discussing Yolanda, so that was just a passing topic. So, just parang gave me a little highlights. And the highlight itself was not consistent already with the other 2.
So is it safe to release the list supposedly signed in the presence of Secretary De Lima, or
Teka muna,
it has
supposedly
become...
signed. Ang understanding ko, it's still a work in progress.
Okay.
the way she was narrating certain things, she would show some alleged evidence to it, then she'd go on tangents. Hindi naman yung, di ba? Hindi yung, tapos niya present. May maalala, idadagdag dito. Pero ang point lang yung unang pinadala, yung pangalawang pinadala, hindi nga magkatugma. So, di ba? Is it safe to reveal? Parang, even that by itself, you have to resolve first, why are there differences from the information you're getting from one witness who's supposed to be narrating facts? So, one cannot escape, di ba, parang the suspicion that instead of trying to clarify matters, it might be trying to, cloud the whole issue, make the process that much more difficult at arriving at the truth.
Sir, just last. So, if you have questions on the credibility of what she's saying, will that affect your decision to make her a witness, or at least she's requesting that should be
Wait.
granted immunity?
Teka muna.
Things like that, sir.
First is, our position is she comes up with an affidavit prepared with the help of her counsel, which is consistent with Article 3 of the Bill of Rights. Now, after she's done with that, then kung personally, I'd rather give it to the Ombudsman right away, because that will be the endpoint. That will be where you will determine yung value of the testimony and be able to evaluate. And that is the only arm that can file a case before the Sandigan Bayan. Okay, now, and that has been discussed with Secretary de Viva. So I think it has been reverted back to her na you finish what you want to say, you can submit it to us, or we can all submit it to the Ombudsman for the proper evaluation. So in effect, the submission will be the start of evaluating what she's saying and seeing if there is proof to back up what she's saying. Can I just add, parang ang value sa atin nun, if she says the truth, thank you. If she says some of the truth and some of it lies, even the truth that will support the lies or will try to make the lies seemingly true will help us in ferreting out the truth. Parang, ang simple nun, pag nagsinungaling ka, puro bola ginawa mo from A to Z. Wala. Pero kung susuportahan mo ng facts na mabe-verify, baka magkaroon ng konting duda, baka pati ito totoo. So yung kusa na truth or yung truth na may pinapalusot siya, either way makakatulong sa atin yun.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Sir, follow-up ko lang muna yung kay Au. Yung sinasabi niyong first list that was transmitted to you, when was that?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't recall the exact date.
Pero that was a long time ago, months ago, or?
I really don't remember. But I just glanced at it. I'm not a lawyer. I would not be able to say that this is enough that will constitute evidence. So I did transmit it to the legal advisors. And chief among them is Secretary Laila.
Okay. Sir, and then yung question ko talaga, yung reaction lang, sir, dun sa pag-dismiss nung Graft case against former President Arroyo in connection with the fertilizer fund scam, sir?
We discussed it in passing the other day. First question I asked was, did we file this? And the answer was, we didn't file it. We actually filed 3 cases against Mrs. Arroyo. This involves Malampaya, yung PCSO case, and then electoral fraud for 204 and 207. Okay, now, I asked in turn, does that end the matter? Since there was no case filed in court, hindi ba dinismiss ng Ombudsman there was no arraignment, double jeopardy doesn't come in. If we are able to get the necessary evidence to make a stronger case, then that can be refiled.
So, i-initiate din po ang gobyerno ng sariling kaso? Kasi this was filed by another...
May tatlo na kasing...
Okay.
tatlong pinafile. There are certain quarters kasi who are saying na vindictive, ano. And my promise to the Filipino people has always been, we will go where the evidence points us to. We will not file a frivolous case just to harass anybody. If you file a frivolous case, knowing that it's frivolous, parang you're guaranteeing that the person gets off scot-free because double jeopardy comes in. So my instructions have always been, do not file until you are sure that the evidence is strong. Now, having said that, sorry, napipicture ko ngayon si Secretary Laila. Napipicture ko kasi, Laila, priority to. 2 days later, Laila, ito priority rin. On a different topic. Tapos, baka in the afternoon, Laila, may isa pang priority. She's not the only one that we're going after, di ba? Meron tumutulong sila doon sa tax cases. No, naandami na rin. Several hundred. Meron ako pinapaimbestigahan ngayon on an agency that really thinks they can pull a fast one. On me, medyo, sorry, hindi ko muna wawarningan yung aming iniimbestigahan ng kasalukuyan. Basta, can I just say na sobrang kapal talaga nitong pangkat na to. At ganun ka, yung umabot sa akin kasi kung paano yung scheme at initial investigation, may affidavits are saying these things. Talaga feeling nila, they will never get caught. They will never be caught. I will prove to them that that is not the case. Okay, si Laila is also involved with that. Okay. Tapos mula yung, basta go as high as you can, etc. Pero yun nga, black sun binding, kasama rin si Laila. Actually, mabibilang mo siguro kung anong hindi siya kasali. Baka dapat lagyan ko na siya ng isang mesa doon sa tabi ng opisina ko dahil baka mas efficient yun. 3 days a week sa amin, 2 days sa DOJ siguro. But for that matter, I guess all of my cabinet secretaries will probably be saying the same thing. Pati na yung mga dinestorbo ko ng Holy Week. Tulad ni Secretary Del Rosario. Secretary Baldos. Ano po ba? Sani Coloma. Noong naglabas ng MERS na advisory, yung ad, ang nag-draft, ito po nasa likod ko. Siya na rin nag-type. Siya rin yata na actually nag-transmit sa mga advertising sections sa mga dyaryo.
Pag-pursue ng case against the former president is one of the many priorities. I mean, in relation to the one that was dismissed.
Yeah, but the ones that we filed are...
The 3 cases.
Yun pa naman.
The 3 cases.
Give you a status. Yung PCSO is pending before the Sandigan Bayan. Yung diversion of the Malampaya Fund undergoing review by the Office of the Ombudsman. The electoral sabotage is pending before an RTC in Pasay filed by the COMELEC Law Department. So, pating COMELEC, baka naman may magsabing sinasaklam ako sila, constitutional body. No, sinama ko na lang na this government has filed these 3 cases. Okay. And if there are other cases where there is sufficient evidence, then we will also do so.
Sir, last na lang. Naaalala niyo po ba based on the list, whichever of the 3 lists that you saw, kung may mga allies po kayo na nakasama doon sa listahan?
Pero yung allege, maraming hindi. Pero alam niyo kasi parang, pag sinabi ko may discrepancy, yung number, nagpa-fluctuate eh. Yung unang list na pinadala sa akin, X number, sabihin natin. Yung next list na nakita ko, -3. Tapos yung binabanggit sa akin, parang +4. O di ba? Parang, hindi ba meron ganong phrase na marami? Ano ba talaga, ate? Kasi you're not talking 1 peso or 2 pesos here, eh, di ba? You're talking about millions in transactions allegedly. Pero how can you keep on changing who your co-conspirators were? And how do you... Tapos, syempre, nire-remind ko lahat ng involved. Pararamihan ng facts dyan. Check mo bawat isa. By the time na lahat ng dead end, klaro ng dead end lahat yan. No? At yung, tagala ka ng, binawasan ka ng oras para mapuntahan yung talaga may patutunguhan. Tatapon na karoon ng detalye. Kinonfuse yung buong issue. By the time ready ka, tapos na yung 2 years namin natitira. Siyempre, conscious tayo na yun rin. Baka ganun yung objective. Pero I was really taken aback by that changing of numbers. That seems to be such a very principal and material fact. Ngayon, baka naman follow up doon, will I ask her why she changed? And I don't want to talk to her. No, she can talk to the people who will be in a position to evaluate her evidence. And that means primarily lawyers.